Hello and welcome to We Are Brooklyn Park. I'm your host, Jay Strobel, the city manager here in Brooklyn Park. Our guest today is Daniela Lorenz. Daniela is our business development coordinator in our community development department. Daniela helps many in our business community connect to resources and programs needed for their businesses to thrive. Welcome, Daniela.
Hi, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you share with the listeners about your position? I know you've been in your role for a couple years. What exactly does a business development coordinator do in Brooklyn Park?
Yeah, so the easiest way to explain my job to people, because it sounds like when you hear development coordinator that I am like fundraising. I don't do any of that. That is not what my job looks like. I call myself like the business liaison. I'm really connecting businesses into resources, other businesses in the community, organizations. By virtue of my position, I'm connected to people at the county level, the state level, and their programs that they might have that businesses can access. So we really kind of are the gateway if a business doesn't know how to get started or comes to us with a need, whether it's technical assistance to start a business or loans, connecting to other people in the business community, et cetera. So really anything and everything, along with writing programs and policies to do with business, I'm very keyed into them.
So you're sort of a one-stop shop to help businesses of any background and type in a variety of ways.
Exactly. What I always say to people is I might not know the answer to your question, but I bet I know somebody that does. So
yeah,
I'm a person at City Hall that you at least see a face and a name and a number all together.
Yeah, Brooklyn Park has a very diverse business community. You know, small businesses, large businesses, corporations, businesses of every size, ownership. Various ownership backgrounds. Talk about the makeup of businesses in Brooklyn Park and what makes the business landscape in our city so unique.
Yeah, like everything in Brooklyn Park, to your point, it's all about diversity. And in this case, it's both the people that own the businesses and operate the businesses. We have a very large immigrant-owned business population, person of color-owned business population. But then, of course, we have a large industry variation as well. We're a large city, so we've got a lot of, we've got Target headquarters here, a number of smaller or mid-sized medical manufacturers that are headquartered here, and we're really kind of becoming a bit of a med tech hub in a way in Brooklyn Park, which is really exciting. But then at the same time, we've got all of these really wonderful locally owned restaurants and clothing stores that cater really specifically to certain segments of the population if they have specific things that they need to wear. And then are just offering services in general. So what's really exciting about Brooklyn Park is, unlike so many other cities where they're kind of reliant on one type of business or one industry segment, which is not always the most resilient, and we're seeing more and more every day how important it is to be resilient. Brooklyn Park really does have a little bit of everything, from retail all the way up to those big manufacturing and technology companies, of course, in the city.
Yeah, you mentioned resiliency, which is clearly really important during this time. COVID-19 has impacted every business in a variety of ways. Talk to us about what you hear in terms of how COVID has impacted people's businesses and how we're able to help support them, navigate their way through these challenging times.
Yeah, truly nobody has been left untouched by COVID-19, but I wouldn't say that it's a great equalizer in very many ways. What we're seeing is some of those disparities that might have existed before are exacerbated a little bit. So what we hear a lot is, those in the immigrant community especially have a difficult time accessing financing. And that's for a variety of different reasons, whether they just don't have credit history, they don't have a relationship with a bank, maybe their business practices maybe just be a little bit different and don't necessarily gel with American business practices. So what we're really seeing with those businesses especially is they had a lot of difficulty accessing some of those larger federal level programs like the Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. There's so many acronyms, alphabet soup for sure. And even some of the state's programs that it was difficult for them to get their foot in the door. So what we did in Brooklyn Park is we understood that, particularly because we work quite a bit with some of our community organizations, ACER, LIBA, very keyed into that demographic of businesses, and asked them, what can we do to provide a little bit help to them, particularly financial. I mean, so many of these businesses, when you're talking about hair salons, restaurants, retail stores, people just weren't going in the door, and foot traffic is where they get their money, and all of a sudden they just weren't making any money at all, or maybe they were shut down by an executive order. So really offering a resource. The city did have a small business emergency deferred loan that we put together. We were able to get about 70 businesses, anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 to pay for emergency expenses. And it was primarily accessed by women-owned businesses and businesses owned by people of color, which was really exciting because they, again, were not the ones that were as easily able to access some of those small business administration loans, or the state's level loans. But that's not to say, that COVID certainly has impacted some of our larger employers too that might have a better relationship with a bank or a longer business life as well. What they have really been battling with is, even before all of COVID, having difficulty finding people to come work for them, worker shortages. And now, you have more people who have decided to opt out of working because they're nervous about COVID-19 and want to protect themselves and their family, or they got laid off because they lost a line of business. So in general, it truly hasn't left anybody untouched for sure. But I would also say it's kind of remarkable how much things haven't changed. Again, I think it just highlights some of the places that we can do better, particularly in getting businesses ready for loans, to get them relationships with their banks, because they need that to be successful in general. And we really saw that highlighted here, especially in the beginning months of the pandemic. It's starting to even out a little bit. I should knock on wood before something like falls from the sky, because 2020 is, the year that everything is happening.
You never know what to expect.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So it's been a lot of the same, but I would say on a larger scale, because all of a sudden everybody needs more money, more people to come work for them, more access to financing or other resources.
Yeah, it's just been an incredible time, and I'm sure having a resource like yourself to help businesses navigate, whether they're a small business, large business, has been super helpful for them. I know we've had a few restaurants that have closed. I have not heard of any larger businesses or that have closed. I don't know if you have any information on that.
Yeah, I think Brooklyn Park has been, even in the restaurant sector, we haven't had many close. I mean, anybody that has to close, it's unfortunate, but we kind of went into this understanding, we're probably going to lose a few. But in terms of those larger employers, I also haven't heard anything. And I think, we've got such a strong manufacturing base, and a lot of them were allowed to continue working as an essential company, or they just were set up to be able to continue to provide the service that they already provided.
Right, yeah. And I'm sure they're figuring out how to do their business within the public health guidelines that are out there.
Yes, and online. Everybody is switching to online. Companies who are like, I never in a million years would have thought I was going to do things online, or doing things online.
So Brooklyn Park is known as being a business-friendly community. We've got a lot of resources and tools to help them, start, stay, and grow here. So what in your work, what do you think is attracting people to locate in Brooklyn Park or expand in Brooklyn Park?
A number of things. One, it's just a good centrally located city. I mean, location. And I'd like to take credit for all of that, but I did not choose where we are on the map, of course. So it just makes me look really good. But certainly the amount of available land we have, especially for those a little bit larger second stage companies or mid-sized companies too, that are looking to either expand or start, have a place that they can put up a speculatively built building. Developers have a place that they can go and access that, and it's great access off of Highway 169. We're close to 94 and 694, and within 30 minutes of the airport. You can't beat that. I don't think anybody else is even close to beating us on that. But even beyond that, what I hear from businesses is the diversity here is really attractive to them, particularly when you're talking about those, people of color, person of color rather, and immigrant-owned businesses. They've got, their market space is here. They've already got customers that are going to come, but also the ability to access all of these different types of talents. I mean, truly the 21st century talent pools and employees that they can reach out to. So certainly that helps a lot too. We've got two post-secondary institutions in the city as well, in North Hennepin Community College and Hennepin Technical College, who are partners and are constantly trying to find ways to plug into the businesses and work with them. So I think what businesses see here is, whether they're starting or expanding, is this access to talent, this ability to easily get to the downtown core or to the airport, and space to actually grow if they need it in Brooklyn Park.
Lots of opportunity to grow, especially along the 610 corridor. And then as we put in the new interchange up on 101st, up 169, lots of opportunities. So, yeah, I mean, as you just shared, 1,000 reasons why businesses should locate here, stay here, and grow here. So that's great to hear. Are there any, I know you've hit on some, are there some services, programs, or resources that the city provides that you'd want to highlight for maybe a prospective business that might want to think about coming here? Some resources that we help with?
Yeah, so what I would say, the city we have two loan programs. One smaller loan program is tailored for very new businesses or entrepreneurs who are just getting started. It's a loan up to $25,000 to do a whole range of different things. Really, really favorable financing too. We're talking about a 0% interest to a 2% interest rate, which you really cannot beat in any other part of the marketplace. And really, we're going to target that towards those communities that have had difficulty accessing financing in the past to really get them on the pathway to getting larger loans when they need to. We also have a revolving loan program that we've had. It's been alive since, I always say, if things are older than I am, we probably should think about not doing them anymore, but not so with the revolving loan program. It's been around since the late 80s, and it really allows those expanding businesses especially to access, a little bit larger loan. It's up to $300,000 now to purchase fixed assets, including real estate, if they want to expand in Brooklyn Park. So those are two of the loan programs that we have, and I'm happy to talk anybody through those and connect them with our partners that help us underwrite those programs. But we also partner a lot with the state to access some of their programming as well, particularly in their Job Creation Fund program, or JCF, and their Minnesota Investment Fund, or MIF program, which are both much larger forgivable loans or grant programs that help businesses access capital, but also ask them to provide something to us, which is high quality, well-paying jobs that go to people in the community as much as possible. So it's good for Brooklyn Park, of course, anytime that we can do that with a company, but it's good for the entire region. And we really are becoming kind of the experts of that program because of the development that we've been able to see and the number of loans that we've been able to do in partnership with the state. Along with that, we offer a really robust technical assistance program. We partner with the Metropolitan Consortium of Community Developers. I always have to slow down when I say it, MCCD, to provide free technical assistance to businesses through our Open to Business program. Any business at any time can access that. But you tend to see, new entrepreneurs or small businesses that are looking to expand, accessing that program. And for the last, I want to say 5 years, Brooklyn Park businesses have actually been the highest users of that program,
Wow.
Which is really, really exciting because that means, one, we're providing a service that they need, but that people are also interested in starting or expanding their business here.
Yeah, I know in terms of some of the state programs, as you mentioned, we've become pretty prolific in helping businesses with those. In fact, just the other day, I believe Biomerix just achieved all their goals in terms of the hires that they needed to do to get that loan, and now they're sort of beyond that their commitment period for that in a very successful way. So, perfect example of them coming to Brooklyn Park, getting some state resources and connection and coordination with the city, and then hiring some additional well-paid jobs, hopefully some of which went to a resident. So
yeah, and that's actually one of the things that along with being able to access those state programs is because we've got access in these networks is we can work with the state to improve their programs to better fit our businesses. And the state welcomes that kind of thing. You know, we're the ones that interact with the program the most. So really being more diligent in how do we make sure that, you know, Brooklyn Park residents are getting these good jobs? How do we make sure that these companies are focusing on equity and inclusion in their hiring practices as well?
Specific to business retention and expansion, we've launched a new program around that. Do you want to say a little bit more specifically about business retention and expansion here in the community?
Yeah, the program that was going really well until about March of 2020, like everything else. But we are planning on taking it back up and maybe even modifying it if we can't get back into businesses in the next couple of months, depending on what happens with COVID, of course. But the BRNE program, or the Business Retention and Expansion Program, was really focused on just me putting my face in front of businesses to say, here's somebody that you know, what can we do for you as a business? What are, you know, why do you locate in Brooklyn Park? So we do ask that question. What are things that we could do to improve on? So it's kind of a two-way street where we're going there and offering, you know, the resources that we have and offering ourselves as a resource to businesses, but also getting information back from them because it helps us provide better programming. It helps us better tailor our business policy to meet the needs that are actually existing in the community. You know, one of the other things that I always say is, you know, I could make programs all day long, but it doesn't mean anything if they're not useful for businesses. And the only way I know that is if businesses tell me what's useful for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's about, right? Is connecting with our customers, finding out how we can best support them. And they're the ones that oftentimes have the best answers, clearly, on something like that. So now we do a lot of various events, the Business Forward Forum and other events. We have various publications catered to our business community to, you know, do a little bit of bragging about Brooklyn Park, but then also use those as opportunities to attract new businesses to the community as well. Do you want to share a little bit about some of the events that we do, some of the publications we're involved in? Yeah,
so the Business Forward Forum has been something we've done for businesses for this will be the 9th year that we do it. And it started as a thank you to our business community, and it's kind of stayed that way. We offer them free food, have them come in. They usually get an update from Jay or the mayor. We also bring in a keynote speaker to talk about, you know, kind of a big issue of the day, and give them general city updates. Their favorite part about all of that every single year, though, is Cindy Sherman, our planning director.
She always
development update.
She always steals the thunder.
It doesn't matter. Like, we
Right.
could get, like, I don't even know. We could get Beyonce to show up to this thing and they'd be like, no, Cindy was our favorite part, which is great. Cindy is our Beyonce, I guess
That's
you
right.
could say. But you should definitely tell her I said that. She'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah, she'll find out.
Yes.
She'll hear about
does.
this.
Right. But so it's a really good opportunity for us to connect, you know, city staff to connect with businesses, and really for businesses to connect with one another. That's the biggest thing that they always tell us too, besides just going gaga over Cindy, is they're like, we love the ability to connect with businesses we normally wouldn't get to connect with. It's nice to have this space. You know, we almost always host it at the clubhouse over on the golf course, so that it gives them a chance to come into a space maybe they wouldn't normally come into as well. So along with doing that, you know, you mentioned some publications. We also... we're constantly emailing businesses with updates, particularly COVID-related updates in the last couple of months, and acting as kind of a clearinghouse of information there. But also, we have a Business Connect newsletter that we mail out twice a year in hard copy, which it blew me away when I found out how many people actually like to receive it in hard copy. They like to hold something. And we do kind of a feature story where we feature a business or an initiative that we're doing, and then we connect them with other resources, such as, you know, getting them excited about our Brooklink program, talking about our technical assistance programs that I mentioned before, and our loans, giving them a little bit of an update about development projects, because a lot of times people will see a crane come in or they'll see walls going up, but they don't necessarily know what's in there and they want to know. And then, of course, we also do, this is a little bit off of the businesses, but realtors are businesses. We also do the real estate forum. every single year in the early spring, late winter, that allows realtors to come together, network with one another, and learn about Brooklyn Park initiatives, programs, so they can also work on attracting new residents to our community.
You mentioned the Brooklyn program. Do you want to share a little bit about, for listeners who may not know what that is, and why, whether you're a youth or a parent of a youth, or why, if you're a business owner, why you might care about Brooklyn?
Yeah, so Brooklyn is this really awesome program that the city has been involved with. I think it's 6 years now. This might have been our 5th summer, so we're going into our 6th year. That started out of the Brooklyn Bridge Alliance for Youth. Did a big survey, and it said one of the biggest things that youth in Brooklyn Park are missing is summer jobs. They wanted the opportunity to get connected with both summer jobs, but also longer term jobs. So Brooklink is a partnership between the city of Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. And we co-operate this program that targets youth age 14 to 21. I'm probably going to get some of these wrong, and Catrice is going to shake her fist at me. Catrice O'Neill is the program manager. And it really targets youth who have barriers to access of employment and to college education. So there's a whole list of different things and what that looks like. But what we do is we go around and we find businesses that are willing to host interns. That's kind of the premier part of the program, though they're constantly doing things throughout the year. For 10-week internship opportunities that give them the ability to get real on-the-job training from the intern's perspective, but then from a business's perspective is they're getting a really bright young person to come in and help them with a project that they already had. And we have interns, we host interns, Brooklyn interns at the city, and they always are providing a value. And maybe it's a project that we wouldn't necessarily get to because we've got full plates, but you have this added capacity from these young people. And at the end of the summer, they get to do a presentation about what they learned. And a lot of times, we've had a couple of students get full scholarships from their employers, so long as they went to college and then they came back and worked for them, which is exactly what we want to happen. And I think the biggest value from my perspective, as somebody who often has to try to sell this to businesses, is you're also training your own staff how to manage people, how to work with the workforce of the future, because these young people are not 10 to 20 years away from the workforce. I mean, they're literally 3 years away from the workforce. So if you don't understand how to work with a younger generation, maybe somebody who comes from a different background, an immigrant background, or they're a person of color, you need to learn, because you need to be able to be competitive. And this program, along with getting the value add, along with kind of the good feelings that you get from hosting an intern and a young person, you're getting real tangible skills within your own workforce right now in terms of management and equity and inclusion, and really understanding what that looks like in real time.
Yeah, if you're a business out there, we'd love to have you be part of this program. We've been the last several years been getting hundreds of youth through the sort of the get ready training phase of the program, and are only able to connect about 120 youth to actual internships. So we would love to expand the number of youth that are getting those summer opportunities. We had to do it a little bit different this year because of COVID, but actually was dramatically successful in terms of the training we were able to provide. But the program has just been growing and growing and growing over the last 5+ years. And like you say, Daniela, there is a learning not only on that student, but equally as important on that organization that is bringing that student on. So, yeah, I just can't say enough about the Brooklyn program and encouraging people to be part of it. So how can businesses connect with you? How can they connect with the city? I know we've got a lot of resources out on our website for people to check out, and especially during the last few months where people are, because of COVID, that they're looking for information. So how do they get a hold of you? And then what information might they be able to find on the city's websites or through other advertising channels?
Yeah, I mean, classic millennial that I am, the best way to get a hold of me is my email. I am very diligent about my email and not as diligent about my phone, though if you call me, I will absolutely get back to you within a day. So yeah, I would say email. My email is all over the city's website. It's all over these different publications. So is my number, my office number, and my work cell phone number. So definitely give me a call and let me know what you're looking for. I'm happy to point you in the direction of what you're looking for or help you get to where you need to be. So there's a whole bunch of stuff on the website. You can see a little bit more about our financing programs there, learn a lot about our zoning code and development practices as well, because that'll be important, particularly for new businesses, so you can figure out where you need to go. You can hear all about all of our different COVID stuff. You know, our COVID resource page really is kind of a clearinghouse of information, along with, you know, all the other fun things that the city does, because I think we discount how much that means to businesses to see the community is active. You know, we're hosting drive-in movies, or we've got an active rec and park program, because that's a way that they attract talent too to the city. So I encourage anybody to go look at the website. There's so much there, and now we actually recently redid it, so it's way easier to navigate, and it looks really, really nice, which is a huge credit to our communications team.
Yep. Yeah, I know they've got all of our key staff contact pictures up there, so they can get a little glimmer of who the person they are contacting. So it's really helpful in that regard. So as you think about Brooklyn Park, kind of 20 years down the road, what kind of vision do you have for the business community in Brooklyn Park?
Good question. I would assume that we continue to grow that 610 corridor, that it continues to be kind of a premier medical, manufacturing, high-tech manufacturing jobs corridor. I envision every single business hosting at least one Brooklink intern and having that program absolutely blow up. That would be really exciting. But I think too, you know, really ideal. And when you think economic development, like very traditionally, it's all about going and like getting the deal and bringing a business in and getting them a good financing package, which is certainly a part of my work, and I'm happy to do that. But I think I've shifted from really focusing on those larger employers and bringing them into the city, because we kind of sell ourselves in that regard, and focusing really on these small businesses and these entrepreneurs and this kind of entrepreneurial spirit that we have in this community, particularly in our diverse immigrant populations, our person of color population as well, that I'd love Brooklyn Park to really be a hub and really look like the community that lives here in terms of our businesses as well. You know, it'd be really awesome to have like a marketplace where all these things are coming together. But certainly, I don't know that it functionally needs to look that much different, obviously, besides just learning and growing and continuing to change our policies and our programs to best fit the day and the time, but also the businesses that exist here. But certainly, it would be awesome if I was driving down Brooklyn Boulevard and it's like Brooklyn Park, home to the most immigrant-owned businesses, or you know, this is a huge hub for specific type of food that you can get and specific type of experience to have. I want Brooklyn Park to be like a really experiential place.
Yeah, no, that's a great vision. Do you want to share any highlights from some of what's in the development pipeline in terms of some of the businesses that are coming soon? I know there's a few restaurants likely on the horizon. There's the water place right behind Hy-Vee. You wanna?
Curita.
Yeah.
So Curita, certainly. I mean, the one thing that has actually been kind of wild since COVID is we thought for sure development was going to slow way down, and it has not. In fact, I think this is the busiest our planners have been in a long time, which is really exciting. I don't know if they think it's exciting to be busy, but
I do.
That busy,
I think
right? It's fun for us because we don't have to review the schematics and all that kind of stuff. That's not my jam. But yeah, Curita, which is a water treatment facility. I'm not 100%. I haven't gotten to connect with them yet, but they were bringing together all of their headquarters, which is really exciting, that they want to bring all of these good paying and something like 150 to 200 jobs right away with growth potential in the next several years to come into Brooklyn Park and really want to be there right off of 610 where you can see us. So Curita is a big one. I think they're actually almost done with the inside. I'm not sure what their plans are for occupying. We've had a number, again, that medical technology kind of space have called inquiring. We've had site selectors talking to us about it, about locating in Brooklyn Park, which is really exciting to continue to grow that segment of our economy. Surtec, who's currently located in Brooklyn Park, they've been located here since 2011, I want to say. I could be wrong on that date, but they're another medical manufacturer who is actually expanding to another location in the city as well. They accessed some state dollars to be able to make that possible, and they're looking at about 200 new jobs in the next 2 to 3 years, which is incredible growth.
It's great growth, yeah.
Especially in, again, high paying, really good community member. They actually ended up donating us like 3,000 masks. And they're, I think, a Brooklyn employer too. I could be wrong. And if they're not, I'm coming for them. They're going to be a Brooklyn employer. So lots of development in that manufacturing industrial space. We've obviously seen a little bit of a slowdown in the restaurant space, but even from the calls I've been getting in the last couple of weeks, because I'm usually the first place that they stop or one of the first places that businesses will stop, more people starting to inquire about space, which is really encouraging that they're feeling like we can access financing and we feel like more people are going to be coming out and or that they can safely provide food to people through a takeout kind of model too. So no new restaurants that I know of on the horizon yet, but I'm sure as soon as I say that, I'm gonna like check my email and there'll be somebody who's like, they're moving in. So.
Rumor has it that if you like chicken fingers, Raising Cane's is coming.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about them.
Yeah, so if you have, which in my household, if you have teenagers and they like chicken fingers, it's like there's no other place in the world like Raising Cane's.
Yeah, well, it's like Chicken Haven up there too.
Yeah.
So there's a Chick-fil-A, and then there's a KFC is moving in down on 85th, so they're not quite in that same
in the chicken vicinity.
Right.
And then obviously with a lot of the new business growth, there's another hotel. We just added two last year up on West Broadway and 610, and now another one is not going to be too far away from there. So that's really great. So I know one kind of fun fact about you is that I don't think you are currently, but recently you have been a bartender. So I've got two questions. The first one is, being a bartender, how has that helped you be a phenomenal business development coordinator?
Good question. I have actually thought about this before, but I've never come up with a good answer. I do think, when you bartend, it's so many different types of people that you're talking to every single day and at various levels of sobriety. So the level of how easy it is to understand what they need is not always there, but the ability to work with somebody and like look them in the eye and understand what they need to get. I think too, the service industry more than anything teaches you customer service through the roof, because if you don't provide good customer service, you can't get tips. And that's why else would you bartend if you didn't get tips? It's not just because you just love serving beer to people. But I would say, too, is you have to be so quick and fast and being able to pivot and problem solve really quickly when you bartend. And, we're solving much different problems on the economic development side of things than we are in a bar, but just the ability to kind of go with the flow when things aren't exactly going the way that they're supposed to go. It really has, I think, helped in so many different ways, just in general. So you can talk to different people, you can problem solve, and you always have something to talk about too.
Right.
So.
Well, see, I think there would be a great article in a business development journal,
There you go. They're all going to come just knocking down my door.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. So the other question I have is, what's your signature drink?
Oh my gosh. It's been, since COVID, I haven't set foot into a bar. And I was actually just thinking about this because one of my bosses at the bar that I used to bartend at, I'm good friends with him. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I can even remember how to do make a drink. So there's lots of fun shots. I mean, like a Tootsie Pop shot. It's a Wisconsin bar, so of course we've got the whole suite of like Spotted Cow and New Glarus beers, which is always fun to have all these Minnesotans come over and act like we've just like struck gold with this beer. But yeah, it's also, it's football season and we make lots of green and gold drinks. So we can do all of that kind of stuff too. So I think anything that's got like layers of color and like the weird science behind all of that, I don't know if I could do it though. Like honestly, if you brought me liquor right now, I'm not sure I could remember to do it. But I'd figure it out.
That layer of various layers of alcohol or whatever it is, that is something that always impresses people. So
Yeah.
I think you're on there.
Oh yeah. And if they're a little bit intoxicated, like you could literally do anything and they'd be like, oh my God. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Daniela Lorenz, so you want to share your email address?
Yeah, so it's my first name, and I'll spell it for you because everybody always spells it wrong. Daniela.Lorenz, Lorenz @brooklynpark.org. I am always answering my email because it's on my phone. So if I see an email come through, I answer it. Yeah.
Right. Well, I appreciate it, Daniela. I mean, I know we've covered a lot in a short period of time, but if folks want to connect with you to learn how to bring their business to Brooklyn Park or grow their business here, we'd love to have them.
Absolutely. Yep.
So thanks again to our guest, Daniela Lorenz. We also want to thank our Zanewood youth for producing the opening music of this podcast. You can listen to the latest episodes of We Are Brooklyn Park on our YouTube channel or online at www.brooklynpark.org/podcast. Thanks.